just faintly in some of the photographs. So I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to do justice with the colors and his little dot patterns without trying to get too detailed. The main thing is I always want to capture their face, because I feel like pet portraits, well, any portrait of a living being, a human or an animal, if you want to capture their character, obviously you've got to get the eyes right, the face right, but then like this one has certain spot patterns that I feel like I need to look for which ones are really that stand out so that I can make sure that he has those. That's gonna be tricky. Hello, welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. I'm Cheryl, and this is Cheryl Ann Hunter Fine Art, and this channel is just kind of a mixture of vlog about art, about my art, some demonstrations of my painting process, and a whole lot of other things. So welcome, I'm glad you're here. And of course, as you all know, this is the week that we just ended the week of Thanksgiving here in the United States. And Thanksgiving is one of the most meaningful holidays to me, not because of the historical way that it came about, but because of the meaning of being grateful, being thankful for everything that we have, everything that has been provided by the earth for us. Just stepping back and looking at how the earth provides. For me, this is how I see Thanksgiving, because it's harvest time and all of that. So it's also the time that we start to slow down and go into kind of a winter slumber. There's not, other than my lemon tree, there's not much production in the garden. And so traditionally for cultures everywhere, there's a certain time of year where everything kind of just has some downtime. And Thanksgiving, for me, kicks that off. And living in the California desert, you would think there'd be no signs of fall, but there actually are. There are trees that lose their leaves and turn color. There are certain flowers that bloom more in this time of year than they do in the summer. And like I said, my Myers lemon tree, oh my gosh, it's loaded right now, and they're turning yellow. Some of them are ready. They're not all ready to pick. Usually January, mid-January is when they're starting to really ripen. But some of them get huge, and they're just the most tasty lemons I've ever had. And we make tons of lemonade throughout the year because of that. We use them for cooking. We use them for all kinds of things. So anyway, even though, yes, it's a time to kind of go into a rest mode, it's also a time for some things to flourish. And I love this time of year. I'm a person who loves the fall and winter. I do get cold now. I used to never get cold. I wouldn't even wear jackets. Of course, that's being a woman of a certain age. You go through that time. But right now, I do get cold. So I have to say that if it's too cold, I'm not super happy. But at least I can get warm, where when it's too hot, it's a little hard to brush off the heat. Even if you were to go around naked, it's still too hot. All right, so anyway, I am grateful for so many things. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for the house I live in, the city I live in, the state I live in, the country I live in, the world that we all live in. Those are the only real important things to me. And I know that sounds kind of kind of trite, but it's the truth. When you really dig down, that's the truth. And my husband and I are trying really hard to look at all of the goodness in life and be grateful for the moment and the day, and everything else we just kind of work through, go with the flow. So we're really trying to operate our life that way. And I feel like my art is kind of reflecting that kind of change in our approach to the world, in that I'm just going with the flow. If somebody requests something, like my cousin requested these two pet portraits, okay, I put everything else aside and I'm going to do these now. And I feel like going with the flow like that, it seems like I feel more in tune with what's going on naturally, what's going on with the universe, what's going on with this fly that's buzzing around my computer. So there's a lot to be said for living in the moment and going with the flow. And that's kind of where I am right now. I would really love to hear. I know not everyone, of course, unless you're in the US, you don't necessarily have a Thanksgiving or a day of gratitude, but some cultures do. But I would really love to hear what you are grateful for, and if there's a special holiday or time of year that you kind of focus on that more than another, maybe. And as we head into the solstice and the winter holidays or winter celebrations, we can compare notes on that as well. I think living in the United States, we have so many different cultures that they bring such a rich variety, a diverse spectrum of holidays. And sometimes we kind of take a little bit of each one, and a lot of us will incorporate that into our own family dynamics, our own celebrations. And I know with my family, that's how it is, because too, we have such a multicultural family. We have multiple ethnicities in our family. So there's kind of traditions all over the place that are drawn in. And I feel like the more that we share and blend those things, the better off our society and our whole world is. Because fear of what we don't know is what leads us to isolate ourselves and separate ourselves. And I'm not sure that that's a way that we can grow and expand as human beings. I think the only way to grow and expand as human beings is to interact, understand, try to see from another's perspective. There are all kinds of ways to help our own brains grow. And then art. Art, I think, I'm so grateful for my art. I'm grateful for art in general, for everybody's art. But I'm so grateful to be participating in the art movement. And to me right now, I see a lot of people who are in the art world. A lot of people want to see art be a way of reminding us of what's beautiful here, reminding us of what to be grateful for, rather than things that are sad and dark or horrific. And I realize that there's a place for that too. I'm not saying that's not art. What I'm saying is, right now, the way the world is, I'm gravitating toward art that makes me feel joyful and makes me feel hopeful. If I see something that's dark and interesting and it calls to mind some kind of a mood or a darkness, I'm intrigued by it. And of course, I will give it the respect it deserves. But the art I want to make right now is art that's going to make people feel good, that's going to uplift people. I believe that we are in a transitional time in the world, but in society in general, and we have a choice to make. We can choose to wring our hands and cry and be afraid, or we can choose to do whatever we can to lighten up the corner of our little part of the world here. And that's what I choose to do. Yeah, that may be silly. And there are days when I don't follow that. There are days when I'm watching the news and wanting to throw something at the TV. I'm human. But my effort or my goal, as far as my last years on this planet, is to try to figure out ways to make it as happy and joy-filled as possible, no matter what's happening. So let me know what you think about that in the comments. I'd love to hear your point of view. And let me know how your art helps with that, or how you feel that relates to art. I think it would be an interesting discussion. So leave something in the comments to let me know how you feel about that subject. Our art is here to improve the world, to make it more beautiful, to make it more joyful, or is art here to reflect what's going on in the world and be honest in its representation of some of the horrors and sadness? I think there's room for both, but I believe that that it's really important right now, for me anyway, to do what I can to tell stories without them being stories that have hope in them. So it might be something that looks like a sad painting, but if there's one little part of that painting that has this mysterious edge toward light or toward truth, I feel like that's my purpose right now. And I know these two paintings, this one's almost done. I already put my signature on already. But this one is, I still have a few details to do, and then I'm gonna beef up the background a little bit and make sure that the sides are painted really nicely. And then I've just got to put the wire on it and some varnish. So that one's almost done. This one, this guy, he's already gone to the doggy's spiritual adventure. This is the underpainting, and this dog, this is all going to be kind of fuzzed out. I want to have it almost like have a soft, I don't want to say cloud-like, but a light. It's going to be more of a neutral color, and it's going to be focused, fuzzed out here. Kind of like, I want to say cloud-like, but more like maybe just dreamy, because he's passed along to the other side of this plane of existence. So I want to do that justice. Anyway, the guy he's spotted white and black, but they're like little tiny shades of I want to say like a purplish red, like a rust almost, just faintly in some of the photographs. So I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to do justice with the colors and his little dot patterns without trying to get too detailed. The main thing is I always want to capture their face, because I feel like pet portraits, well, any portrait of a living being, a human or an animal, if you want to capture their character, obviously you've got to get the eyes right, the face right, but then like this one has certain spot patterns that I feel like I need to look for which ones are really that stand out so that I can make sure that he has those. That's going to be tricky. But anyway, so working on that guy. And this one, the owner's favorite color is baby blue. So I'm going to keep the blue. This one I'm probably going to turn a little bit more to an, almost like probably like a kind of a greenish blue. So that one will change a little bit. Anyways, that's what I've been working on. And I also have a couple other paintings in the works that I'll share with you down the road. And then I want to talk a little bit about the wildlife. I do love to paint animals, and my wildlife paintings, I get a lot of feedback on those. So I'm thinking, okay, I love doing them, and I seem to be able to capture an animal's character better than a human's. I don't know why. That's an interesting thing to me. Um, but I am still working on building up skills for human portraits. Not necessarily portraits, but human paintings with humans doing things or expressing emotion, because I have some ideas on a series that I want to do. And I need to make sure that I am confident and comfortable in the portraits or the features. So I'm going to be working on that. Anyway, the wildlife we have, and I'll show you what just visited us. We hear coyotes. I've grown up hearing coyotes. I've grown up with, skunks coming in and out of our yard every night, raccoons, possums. When we lived in a little place called Ukaipa, which is, it's at the bottom of a mountain range. So it's like a valley that's at the bottom of this mountain range. And it's just a beautiful place. And it's about 40 minutes drive from here, from the desert where I live now. So I grew up with a lot of the same animals that I'm seeing out here in the desert. The difference, I guess, is out here, I live in a residential community that's not really near any mountains. You can see the mountains from where I live, but we don't live right under them like I did at home. But there are hills, small hills all around our house. And I believe that a lot of the wildlife lives in some of those hills. And a lot of open fields, so they probably live in there too. I know that the roadrunners, they disappear at certain times of the year, but they do come out from under bushes, and they have their own little places that they are secure. And then, of course, the hare, which, I always just called them all rabbits, but I'm finding out that a rabbit, like a jackrabbit or a black-tailed bunny, wild bunny here, and a hare, I'm finding out they're two different things, which I never realized. And of course, I never saw jackrabbits or hares where I lived. Not that they weren't there, but I just never really saw those. I saw bobcats, bears, but never the hares. But we've got little juveniles that come and drink out of our fountain in the backyard. And this painting that I just finished, the morning meetup, that's right now in the Desert Woman Art Gallery. That one was just paying tribute to the coyote, the hare, and the roadrunner, which are notoriously part of the California desert wildlife. And then ravens, of course. So it's just, and the owls. We've got burrowing owls, which live on the ground, underground. And then we've got the your regular California area. I want to say a barn owl. I've seen white owls here, but I've also seen just your run-of-the-mill huge owl. So the amount of wildlife in any area fascinates me, because they adapt and learn how to live, somehow adapt to our technology or our suburban and urban spread, the buildings, the electric poles, the whatever. They figure out ways to utilize them for their own life. And this coyote that I'm going to show you a clip of, it's the first one I've seen. We've been here 10 years, and I've seen them out when we're driving early in the morning or in the evening out in the rural parts, but I never saw one walking through our residential community here. And I've been putting chicken carcasses, fruit, all kinds of things. Anything I have that is compostable or that an animal might want, I throw it. We have an area that I put it out, and within a day, it's gone. Every bit of it's gone. Well, I always thought it must be neighborhood stray cats or dogs, or even ravens sometimes could probably pick up fairly large pieces. But no, I discovered yesterday that what's taking the big things away is this coyote, and she looks very ragged and desperate. This was at 1 in the afternoon that this coyote came around our house. So it must have been a pretty desperate situation for that coyote to come out at 1 in the afternoon, because usually they're out early morning or late at night, or late afternoon. So I just was fascinated by that. And I believe that's why I enjoy painting wildlife. It's almost like just capturing, who they are, how they survive. It's just so diverse. It's so diverse, wildlife is, and I just love it. Anyway, so that's that, and I'm going to be trying to get these paintings finished and then some other things going. And then I have a couple things that I want to do coming up for the winter holiday season. So I hope you'll stick around and come back and we'll talk some more about other things. If you haven't liked a video or subscribed yet, I would really appreciate it if you do so. I'm trying to hit 500 subscribers just as a personal goal, and I'm at 385, I think. So if you want to help me do that, I would appreciate it. But I appreciate all of you, and I'm grateful for you. That's another thing I'm thankful for, is the opportunity to do these videos and reach out to other artists or people who are interested in art and interact with you. It's really a fun thing. It's kind of like the old pen pal days. I had pen pals when I was a teenager, and I just remember how fun that was. And I knew people all over the world that I would write to. And I think this is so similar in some ways to that, because we can share a little bit about ourselves and interact, get to know other cultures. So please let me know who you are, and I would love to go see your channel and see, what kinds of things you like to do. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.